So, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Texas and Seattle just switched places.
It seems like they might.
Why not?
So, I mean,
Yeah.
there's weirder things have happened, but I'm sure
Yep.
that all of this weird, the climate situation and the political situation and all that has made you yearn for the
Yes.
days of living in Japan, which is
No.
why
No.
which is why I thought of you
Actually,
when I came across this movie.
I watched it finally.
All right, so
But you were like, you need to watch it, and I was like, oh, like,
well,
is it any good or whatever? And like, you didn't really give me the details on why I needed to watch it. So now I
well,
need to like hear from you
okay,
why you
so
needed me to watch it.
okay, randomly one night, you know me, like I watch shitty movies, and I try
Yes,
my hardest to get you
yeah,
to watch them too, whichever
I
ones I
know. I
think
just
might tickle your fancy, right?
some of them were pretty funny that we watched together. Yeah.
Wait, which one?
Like, what was the weird one, like the Christian one with the dude who's like a sniper, but it was like filmed for $5 or whatever. It was like some shitty
Christian
movie. I don't know if
Sniper.
you remember seeing that. It was like some really low budget
I don't know if I
movie that we
remember.
watched while you were in Seattle. Like, I remember that specifically as one that I thought was really funny because we just, dunked on it the entire time.
Oh wait, I have
So,
vague.
do you
I'm
remember?
a
I mean, I would never remember the title at this point, and like none of the actors were
Christian
well
Sniper.
known or anything. I think it was from like some like movie company that makes Christian movies or something. I'll literally never remember it.
I'll never remember it either, clearly, but
Yeah, and I'm sure it's not on Netflix anymore either. So
I'm gonna have to look
it's
this up then and figure out what exactly this was.
yeah, I wish that you could go back to, like IMDb searches from 10 years ago or something. And because if I were able
Actually,
to, I definitely was going through the IMDb.
you can actually request
Ooh.
a file from Netflix that gives you your the
Oh,
entire history of things you've watched, from the
I don't know
creation
if
of your
that's
account.
worth it though.
I mean, it's a low effort thing. You just go into your account settings and
Yeah.
click it, but it's an
Yeah.
option. I'm just saying it's an option.
Okay. All right. Okay.
If it ever
If
like
we
starts to
ever,
drive you insane trying to figure it
yeah,
out, that is an
pay
option.
the, $300 or whatever that Netflix would charge you to be able to,
Oh, it's free. I did it already. I did it once
what?
before.
Oh, well, I'll be damned. Okay, in that case, bring it on. But
So
not really, because
with
I don't care that much.
with this movie, like it was one of these random movies that was on
Hi,
Hulu,
Cat.
and oh, look at that! Hey, buddy. Cat's
He's
like, this is my
sorry,
stream now.
there's no boundaries here, so yeah, sorry.
Oh, that's fine. I love orange
Okay.
tabbies, so
Oh, he's a great cat. He just loves me so much. But it's super cold and I don't turn on the reason I'm in like a puffer jacket right now is literally because I don't turn on the heat. Because like I'm from New Hampshire. Seattle shouldn't ever be, less than 34 degrees. So I don't use my heat at all. Because I'm in principle I just don't want to pay for
so
it
it's
because
not
it's
that
not cold.
you. Wait, so you're just out of
So
principle wearing a giant puffy coat around your house and like what is
well, I
that, a
mean,
wool
I probably
scarf?
would be anyway. No, this is just my sweater.
Oh,
But I wear layers to deal with it. Like I just don't
okay.
feel like it's
No,
worth,
that's
like if
actually
I just wear
good.
2 layers, it's not bad.
It's very environmentally
So
friendly, so.
I'm very cheap. Yes, yeah.
Well, I was saying environmentally friendly, but I mean, I guess cheap works too.
Yeah, yeah. Should we care?
So, I guess
Yeah, hi, sorry, yeah. So let's talk
in
about
keeping with the
another
nature
shitty
of the bad
movie.
movies,
Yeah. Let's bring it on.
I was just perusing Hulu one night and I saw this come
Uh-huh.
across my list and I was like, "Ooh, this looks rough." I was like, "I'm gonna go ahead and watch it." I started watching. I watched, and
Yeah.
it was rough, and
Yep.
I didn't like it. It was a bad movie, but
Uh-huh.
after I had watched it, it started to grow on me. Like I found
Oh
it, I
no.
found it a little bit charming, even.
Oh
Like
god.
so, that's kind of where and that's when I was like, maybe she should watch this. I want to talk about this movie a little bit. It's absolutely psychotic. It is a psychotic movie for certain.
Yeah.
For certain.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I don't think it's an irredeemable movie.
No, and it's funny because I watched it with my friend who's, not Japanese. She has like a little bit of interest in Japan. But
First of all, you lived there for a while and worked there professionally.
I lived there for, I think, 8 to 9 years, maybe 10. I can't be bothered to like count.
Yeah.
But yes, that are I've lived there for a long time and I speak Japanese.
How closely did it mirror your own experiences?
Well, that's the thing. Like, I don't feel like it did. And we actually looked it up because she was like, "Oh, what the fuck?" Like, and I'm like, "No, well, I feel like whoever wrote this movie like has been to Japan, but I don't think it's a Japanese person."
No.
Because they get, some things right and some things wrong. And it's some woman named, like, Becca Topol. Yeah. And she went to, I guess, Brown and studied, like, East Asian studies or something. And I couldn't figure out, from her, like, bio or anything, whether she might have, like, lived in Japan or anything. But I'm assuming she probably did for like a year or two or something.
I'm imagining
like, she was on the JET program or whatever.
The interesting thing about this movie for me is, well, one of the many interesting things is it felt like it was two different movies. Like they shot like with two different directors and two different there's like the American movie where it was all the weird, like, and there was some weird ass characters in this movie. Like there was the
two people from their gaijin bar or whatever.
Yeah, like the dude who thought who was like a bad audition for Downton Abbey, and then the woman that was like a bad audition for Streetcar Named Desire. I was like, why the fuck would these two characters ever be together? In a gaijin bar in fucking Japan. Just partying and having a good time, but there are all kinds out there. But there was like there was the movie where it had those characters and Brittany Murphy interacted there, and then there was a completely separate movie where it was the Japanese dude who ran the ramen bar and his wife, and then all the other people around there, and the office place that she worked at. It was like this very Japanese movie, and she just very lightly dabbles in that movie too.
Right.
And just watching and I don't think at any point do either of those two worlds collide. So like from start to finish, they're like always kind of separate, and it's weird.
Yeah. It was, I don't know, like, I feel like there was some stuff to like, but you're right that it was like two different movies. Like, I don't think they needed any of the American stuff. Like, her boyfriend shows up for, like, 3 seconds in the beginning, and he's just like, "Oh, man, like, I shouldn't have called you to come to Japan, because I don't, like, live anywhere."
The setup...
it's kind of stupid.
Yeah,
I guess you can explain.
Yeah, I'm just gonna get the setup real quick. Brittany Murphy plays Abby. She just arrived in Japan with her boyfriend. I guess he got a job there, and she decided to come over, and I guess she got a job herself. I forget where she said she worked, at some kind of law agency or something. But
she was a copy editor, a law firm or something. Yeah.
So which is good work if you can get it. I don't know how she got it, but somehow she got it. I know,
right?
And so she arrives in Japan. She's hanging out with her boyfriend, having a good time. She meets those guys at the bar, and everybody's happy.
She's going to the gaijin bar.
Yeah, and then when she wakes up the next morning, her boyfriend is basically like, I accepted this other job in a city that's way away from here. I'm not coming back, and basically breaks up with her and is like, I didn't really want you to come here, and now I'm out of here. So peace out.
Yeah.
And she's very distraught by it. She doesn't really know what to do. She feels kind of stranded and abandoned, even though she has a pretty nice apartment for where she's at, and she has a job. So
not complaining.
Yeah, but so she gets put into this state where now she's kind of on her own, and she has to figure out how to like, what she wants to do really. Yeah. And right across the...
As everyone does when they live in Japan.
As everyone
any
does.
amount of time. Like, oh, do I want to stay here? What the fuck?
Yeah.
That's a very common.
So that part resonated with you then, huh?
Well, yeah, no, but not really though. I'm making a joke.
Yeah,
like,
I know.
you know, you have at least one existential crisis whenever you live in Japan. So.
Well, she had an existential crisis that led her to the ramen bar that's
In the
right down the
ramen bar.
street. Yeah,
Yep.
she walked in and she just broke down crying, and I guess the guy who ran the bar, who is that actor? I think it's this guy.
It was Nishida Toshiyuki.
Yeah.
Who
And he did a great job. He was fantastic.
Yeah, I actually went and, you know, Googled him because his face is really familiar. So like if
he's been in some things.
Like,
I
don't watch Japanese movies. Like I gotta make the what do you call it, declaration that I don't actually watch Japanese movies because I hate them kind of.
As do I. Japanese cinema is on my X list. Yes.
Yeah. So, but this first thing that's shown, the Tsuribaka Nishi 24 or whatever, 14. It's at the very top in the picture.
Oh, yeah,
the ones that are the featured ones. So it's the one with the pink text. Yeah, that one. So Tsuribaka Nishi is like a series of movies that this guy is, I'm pretty sure, always in. So,
really? It's like his earnest?
And it's like the 14th one. So you can see how... And I don't think anyone probably, you know, wants them to come out anymore. But I think because of that, he's like...
Whenever you see a movie
recognizable
with 14 in the title, it just kind of seems like it might be a porn.
I mean... No, I wouldn't actually want that to be a porn. I was going to say it would be better if it were, but then... No, it really wouldn't. But yeah, I mean, that just shows, you know, the level of their movie industry that they can make 14 of a movie, and I guess anyone is like, that's a great idea. Yeah, so... But yeah, so he's like a famous actor. I think he also appears on TV a lot, probably as like a, you know, a guest or something. So his face was like super ultra recognizable. But I do think he was one of the good things in that movie for sure.
Yeah, he played the role of a sort of disgruntled, ornery old man pretty perfectly, and it was actually really interesting to see him and Brittany Murphy kind of play off of each other without ever speaking the same language. And that's it was actually kind of like a point of frustration because, like, you know, it's tough. At some points, like, I really hated the Abby character. I was like, God, she's fucking awful. Like, she doesn't even make an attempt to ever learn the language, even like at a base conversational level. And so you see her like having all of these issues with, you know, not being able to communicate and not ever trying. But then on the other side, her boss is incredibly abusive. Like he's like physically beating her and pushing her and throwing shit at her and is just saying the most awful shit. And it's like, oh God, I don't know which one I should root for on this. Like,
I mean, so I think it definitely was like a real, and so my friend who was watching it with me, she was like, dude, what the fuck? This character still doesn't speak any Japanese. That's bullshit.
Exactly.
So she's like studying Japanese right now. And that is really dumb, and also like just like makes what's happening in the movie like less, I mean, it's not a believable story, like
not at all
from the start, but it also just makes it, you know, like it takes you out of, you know, any kind of story that it would have. But I think that that's probably just because they couldn't teach Brittany Murphy Japanese to film this movie in, like, you know, the 2 months or whatever.
Yeah, whatever. Short.
But you know, so like she couldn't remember, like, you know.
Oh, they didn't need to. They didn't need to teach her Japanese. They could have just had it phonetically written out on a card for her to say.
I mean, but could she have done it? You know, I feel like it would have taken like, you know, too long or something. I don't know, but I think that was maybe the only reason why, just like logistically, it'd be difficult to get her to say words in Japanese.
She said
and have them actually be, but have, you know, she couldn't like say a sentence or whatever, you know.
She could have stumbled through a sentence.
To make it sound convincing.
Well, I mean, I don't think she needs to sound convincing. She just needs to seem like she's interested enough in the pursuit that she's doing that she, learns something. So the thing is, okay,
Yeah.
so
Well,
just
yeah.
to
In the very end, I feel like she like they indicate that she understands spoken
a little
Japanese
bit,
or
yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
Yeah, but it was like entirely too long that it took her to like
Exactly.
be able to understand like anything, and she's not just talking at them in English like all the time. So, yeah, for
So
sure.
the point of the movie, or at least I guess the point of the character at this part of the movie at the beginning, she goes into the ramen bar distraught after her boyfriend breaks up with her. She's crying. They're trying to
Oh,
kick her
yeah.
out because they're closed, and she doesn't understand. She's just sitting there crying. So they give her a bowl of ramen, and she starts eating it, and she enjoys it. She goes back the next day, after work, I guess, and she's sitting there just randomly laughing with some other psycho.
Oh my god, yeah, that was so awkward.
I don't know what they were laughing
And
at.
like the ramen is like glowing or something, or it
Yeah.
sends out like a fucking, energy blast or something. Like I don't know what that was all about. Like they had that scene where she was looking at the ramen place and like it glowed and everything, like some
Yeah.
kind of, like Santa's workshop or something.
I think she was kind of seeing it as like she kind of this character idealizes things like her boyfriend or her job or relationship, whatever. I
Mm-hmm.
think she was kind of doing that with the ramen place as like a place to get away from where she's at. So
That's a very generous
well,
interpretation, I feel like.
I mean, because it's the only one that makes sense.
No, but
Because
you're probably right.
the
You're probably
point
right.
the point of the story is she wants to learn how to make ramen, so she just randomly she starts screaming "sensei" at this drunken old man, to teach her how to make ramen, and it's like, what the fuck? That's random. Why the fuck would you want to learn how to make? I mean, I know why I would want to know how to make ramen, but
Yeah, right.
you don't get any
That's
sense from this character. Like it's not like they set it up to where she was a home cook that was always cooking something.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
now
I guess they could.
yeah, she was just a random sad girl that decided she wanted to inject herself into this dude's life by forcing her
Yeah.
to teach her how to cook ramen. So that's what the setup of the movie was. So she's
yes,
and
yeah,
the guy
she's getting this
reluctantly
old
kind of
Japanese
accepts her.
dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she like shows up multiple days in a row and starts like taking bowls and stuff and like
Dude,
washing
the
their
first
dirty
day
dishes.
she showed up
and then like a
wearing
couple
heels.
days of that, he's like, dude, what the fuck?
Yeah, well, he was like, what the fuck at the very beginning.
yeah. And then he's like, whatever, she's just gonna like show up anyway. But then he's still like a dickhead to her.
Oh,
yeah. He's like, you're not cleaning hard enough, or, like... And then he locks her out that one time. He
walks her right
like,
out the door and then locks her out the back.
Yeah.
She was wearing high heels, and it's like, what the fuck are you doing weering high heels?
I think they're, yeah.
I don't, yeah.
They were trying to show how, she was going from the fancy life to, like the low-key life at the ramen shop or something, like, yeah.
It just made her seem like a dunce. I was like, what are you doing here?
Well, she seemed like a dunce pretty much this entire movie. I think it's really sad about Brittany Murphy. Like, I don't want to talk shit about her acting skills or whatever, because I'm sure that she was actually a better actress than the roles that she was given and stuff. And she was dicked over by so many people.
I don't even necessarily think she was a bad actor in this movie.
No, yeah, she was actually okay. But I mean, I feel like just the character itself wasn't given any depth.
Yeah.
Because it's just clearly somebody didn't think too much about the motivations. Because also when she's starting to learn a little bit by watching the dude, because he's addicted to her the entire time. So
the entire time.
Won't teach
Start
her
to
anything.
finish.
Yeah. And but when she starts seeing the shit that he did and trying to replicate it because he won't teach her.
Yeah.
The only thing he says to her is "Oh, you didn't put your heart into it, or whatever."
It's like Tamashi or something like that.
Too much. Yeah, he's like, you need to make it with spirit or whatever. And that's the only thing he says too. So she's just teach me. I want to learn, sensei. I need to learn how to make ramen. And he's just you got to make it with your heart. And that's their entire motivations for the entire movie. Other than just, either being a dickhead or being a weird sad girl in Tokyo. So Yeah, it was like very one-dimensional, although I feel like the guy had like a bit more personality.
He did.
Like, I think that guy actually was kind of cute.
Wait, which guy?
The old guy.
The old guy. Yeah, he had more depth. Like there was this weird moment where she finds like the picture of his son, right?
Oh, and then,
you know, during one of their conflicts, she starts like razzing him about crying over his son. And, and he like storms off.
Yeah, because they had a scene where like he was done for the night and she like left and she was like gonna walk back to her apartment, and then there's like a half open door that for some reason like goes directly into his living room or something. Yeah. And he's like sitting there with all the pictures like spread out in his hands and just like going it's like,
and I got the sense that kid was dead.
Well, yeah, right?
Yeah.
But I guess he just cries into the pictures of his kid like every night or something, and like, you know, she just also happens to see this because he starts like as soon as work is over or something. Like it was very artificial. But you know, my friend and I still powered through it. But he was cute though, because you know, I actually feel like as a person who's lived in Japan that the abusive boss thing like that is like a little bit true. That's why I actually liked the part of the movie that had like the Japanese shit, like the stuff that was going on in the ramen shop the most. Because I feel like all of those actors were better. They were more likable.
That was the part of the movie I feel was directed by a Japanese director.
Yeah, it literally was almost exactly like the sort of, you know, like feel good, like family movie or whatever that you would expect to see like a Japanese director make. So I was even telling my friend, I was like, this is very Japanese, like just the whole setup and the actors and everything. So yeah, I agree with you that it feels like, and I'm surprised that they were able to get that like sense from the same script.
Yeah.
You know, like for some reason the Japanese parts feel really authentic to like what a Japanese person would make. But then all the parts with, you know, just the foreign people were like really cheesy. Like you said, that girl who's
it also seemed like that was like directed by a Japanese person. Like, what does a Japanese person think Americans are like? Well, there's a guy that's British, or maybe there's like a Southern belle, and it's just like a weird assortment of characters. I don't think it wasn't directed by a Japanese person though.
No, it was just directed by some dude. Like I feel like
Robert Allen Ackerman.
Yeah, I feel like that part of the movie was interesting because like you do meet a lot of fucking weirdos in Japan. Like that part isn't even like that fake. Like there's the dude with the fake British accent who, you know, dresses like a 1920s dandy or whatever, and then like the streetcar named Desire woman who's also like a hostess, which doesn't actually make any sense because all the hostesses in Japan are Russian or like Ukrainian or Polish.
Oh, really? I didn't even know that.
Yeah, they're all from like the former Soviet bloc. So
that's suspicious.
Yeah, but like, yeah, it was just weird.
So there aren't any American hostesses?
I mean, there are. I'm just kidding, but like, it's almost overwhelmingly, like, you know, blonde women, because that's, you know, the type that Japanese people really like, and they're also the type that would put up with Japanese guys to, you know, make money or whatever. So, yeah, but yeah, like I almost feel like if those characters were anything, they were just an indication of how weird the foreign people that you meet over there are, like the ones that are more used to living in Japan.
Yeah.
Because, like, you know, the weird 1920s dandy dude, you know, spoke some Japanese to the Japanese people. You know, so, like, but then again,
right.
It's like, I doubt they thought through it that much, so maybe they just thought those were, like, great, authentic characters or something. I don't know, because like
I feel like maybe they felt like
it because I
feel like maybe they felt like they needed to punch it up more, like they needed more robust characters, more robust energy, because if you take those characters out of it, the movie is kind of flat. Like you get Abby, who is kind of meek and maybe a little annoying, a little whiny, and then you have the old man that's yelling at her and beating her. And then outside of that, you really don't have much else. And there's not much development between even those two characters. Like you said earlier, he ends the movie almost with the same level of contempt for her that he starts the movie with. Like, they inject a little. Actually, I remember now. So the part in the movie where I took the turn, where I was like, oh, man, I hate this Abby girl. And it was like, I want to root for her, but this guy's such a dick. Guy, I want to root for the guy, but the guy's such a dick. And all this sort of, I'm kind of bouncing back and forth between who to follow, who to root for. The turn for me was when she, and it's rough. She decorated the restaurant in a Christmas theme, and she was so happy and cheerful about decorating it a Christmas theme. And the dude says to her in response, "Yankee, go home." And I was like, "Oh my god, that is fucking brutal!" Like that is so brutal, and it so crushed her, and she was so sad. I was like, "Okay, I can't root against her now." Like that's definitive. Like you have it all in that moment. You have the orneriness of the old man. You have the racism of Japan. That was a rough moment. So when that happened, I was like, ooh. All right.
See, that's the thing though. Like, I don't know. It's being over there for a long time. Like, there are definitely dudes like that, but there's like a way to kind of like deal with them in a way that they're like constant being mean to you, like is like what do I want to say, like eliminated by like it's like your power versus his power, there's that like thing, but then like suddenly they both explode in the middle, like that kind of anime type thing. So like there's a way to deal with guys like that, and that's basically his wife, right, where you don't listen to anything they say and you're just like yeah, whatever, cool. So it's like I feel like there would have been a part where the Abby character could have like figured that out or something, but that scene was like,
well,
I don't know whether that's like a scene where I was like, oh fuck this dude, but then again, Yankee Go Home is like some shit that I don't even recognize as like mean or anything.
What, like, you've had people yell that at you before?
No, but I don't think anyone calling me a Yankee is like very offensive. So it's
no. I mean, you're white.
Yeah.
We could go down the whole cavalcade of things that don't offend white people, but I don't want to get banned from Twitch. So
for the C words.
For
C words are
those savory
saltines. They don't have to deal with that sort of shit. Yep.
Yeah. But I mean, being called a Yankee. I think that maybe for Japanese people that's a pejorative, or it can be viewed with some pejorative kind of sting if you yell it very vehemently at someone. Yeah.
But I mean, all the other shit he was saying to her was also bad.
Yeah, I mean, so, in the context of all the other bad shit he was saying, I mean, it was definitely racially motivated.
Well, yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I just, I guess, obviously, I have, a different, because, like, people are, like, racist to you when you're white in Japan. But I know that, it can't nearly be as close to, like, anything that anyone experiences, in America as like an actual person of color and stuff, but it's well, I can't, I'm like such a weird, I'm actually in therapy to talk about how I deal with people being confrontational with me, and the answer is to shut down. So like I also just I don't react to like anything that anyone would ever say that would be mean about me, so it's just like also my personality. So, I've had bosses say mean shit and stuff like sexual harassment stuff or
Jesus.
So it's well, I mean, it's whatever. I mean, but that's literally how
it's not whatever. I'm like it's legitimate stuff. It's not whatever.
Oh, my boss, being
oh god,
awful to me again.
This isn't at your current place of employment, is it?
No, luckily, no. But yeah, no. So I guess I just don't. I wouldn't care if anyone said, that I was a Yankee. But I also understand, it's because I am one. Like
you are
I'm from
definitively a
Boston,
Yankee.
so
Yeah,
it's
you are. You are right up there.
I'm from the north, but then also like they call us Yanks in like the UK and stuff too. I don't like.
Yeah,
And that I think they say more like affectionately or whatever. So I guess, but he was definitely telling her to go home, which is rude as fuck.
Yeah.
So I guess if you're like if you don't want to be called a Yankee, and somebody's screaming at you to go home, like whether or not you think that's like racially motivated or whatever, I guess it's like, dude, what the fuck, like.
Yeah, it was top-notch dickery, if nothing else.
Yeah.
And I guess that's kind of like, it's the immovable object meeting the unstoppable force, like the strong personality of the conservative Japanese person, and like the strong personality of like the raging American, who just wants to get their way all the time, and consequences or circumstances be damned.
Yeah.
I think that was also a big theme in the movie too, which
that was a better analogy for my like anime Kamehameha strength analogy that I had. But yes, I feel like that's more what you're talking about.
And there was one thing about this movie is that it had so many different kind of like vibes, and I don't think it didn't really commit to any of them. Like one is kind of like a fish out of water coming of age kind of story. Another one kind of felt like it wanted to be like a Lifetime romance movie. It didn't really kind of connect on that level. And then another one, it was kind of like, is this a comedy movie? Like, there's some jokes here and there. Like, what's going on here? Like, and I thought for certain, and like I was frustrated as all hell that she just would not learn the language, even though like she knows like doi tashimashite, and she doesn't know gomenasai. It's like, how do you not know gomenasai? You know the other one. But
I mean, that's the thing though. It was like it was very inconsistent, and like I just wonder if the reason that they never, like, maybe the screenwriter didn't understand that, based on the amount of time that was supposed to have been going by in the movie, that, if she knows doi tashimashite, she should know gomenasai too, or, and she just didn't think it through that much because clearly, she wasn't trying that hard, or, whether or not it was just a difficulty with trying to get, an American actress to say some weird, shit in Japanese or whatever. But yeah, that was definitely something that took my friend out of it big time. Whereas she was like, dude, I can't believe that like somebody would have like not been able to speak Japanese after a whole year. And I know people who've lived there for like 15 years who don't speak a word of Japanese. So, it's like, for me, it's like, true. Well, this isn't unbelievable. Well, I definitely know people who can only say like 3 things after, like half a decade or whatever. But, so that wasn't like my biggest, it was definitely like a thing that takes you out of, what little immersion there was that you could enjoy in this movie. It would destroy it for like, I think probably most people who watched it. But that wasn't like my main annoyance, I guess.
What was your main annoyance?
I mean, I guess it was like I don't even know whether I was like particularly offended by anything in it. I thought it was stupid that they had that hostess woman like allegedly be her friend, even though I think like in the movie they had only met like twice, and then the woman's like, I've busted into your apartment and now I have to live with you. And then like the other dude like shows up, and her love interest shows up, and he's like, oh, like that hostess told me to bring this shit, and she's like, you've been together, right? And he was like, no. And I'm like, well, how does the hostess know you?
Yeah, that whole thing was weird. How does
she expect you to do that shit? And then like the hostess is never mentioned again after that point.
Nope.
So like I guess she just fucked off back to America or something. Like I don't understand what the point of that whole thing was.
Oh my god! I just remembered there was a. Oh my god! There was a random point in the movie where the hostess shows up with a black eye, and she goes, "What happened?" She said, "I ran into a door," and then like the British wannabe dude looks at her and gives her a look, and then that was the end of it. I was like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, well. But then I think they attempted to explain that by saying that like her boyfriend or whatever dude was paying for her apartment was like pimping her out. Is what she had said.
Wait, she said that?
She showed up when she showed up to Brittany Murphy's apartment. She was like, "Oh, you know, like my boyfriend who pays for my apartment, he lets me stay there if I like do favors for his friends or something." And then she was like, "He just tried to get me to do favors for somebody, so I was like, fuck you," and left, and that's why I'm here. And I'm very drunk. And then like I guess she called like the dude that they met that one time, like get her shit from her apartment or something. And then he shows up. And then like literally the hostess lady and her like, you know, forced prostitution are never mentioned again. So like it's I feel like I just don't understand why that was a thing, like at all. I like none of the American characters were any good, so I feel like they don't need to exist like at all in that movie.
Yeah.
And then I don't think that I would have liked her to speak some Japanese, I guess, like a little bit more. She doesn't have to like, oh yeah, do they have the part where
I'm gonna see
the girl shows up?
I'm gonna try to play a few clips from here.
Okay, yeah.
Hopefully YouTube doesn't be a dick to me, but let's see if I can get this part going.
And this is all subtitled in Vietnamese, I think.
Yeah, this is subtitled in Vietnamese. So she's saying that Abby decorated it.
Yeah. Cute. I thought this was pretty cute. Like she made it all cute in there. And then he's like, "Hey, what the fuck? Like, we don't need Christmas in here." And he said, "Is this Disneyland?" Like, cute. Because Disneyland is like one of the only words that my friend understands.
Picked up.
So, yeah. I love how his wife like literally just doesn't say anything to him like ever though. He's like, "Yankee, go home." And
it's like you said, she knows how to deal with them.
No, yeah, it's just you can't address them like at all.
I just want to hear him stick the landing on that one more time. Whew. Even I felt the pepper on that one. Look at her! Look at her! She's devastated. That's what I was like. I can't. I gotta.
No, yeah. I guess you know she made the place all cute and she's wearing a Santa hat and stuff, and also she's like gorgeous and shit. So I don't know how this dude can like possibly yell at her as much as he does. But yeah, no, he kind of sucks. But one thing that I thought was cute. So like I think his character is like somewhat authentic. I feel like because there is this like this sense in Japan that like the more you like abuse your inferiors and the more that they stick through that abuse, like the better they will be after or something. So there's like a crazy amount of like abuse,
just abusing people
that people are supposed to deal with. And like eventually you're like, okay,
look at it. He just hit her.
Piece of shit.
Like,
yeah. No, I mean, I don't think that would happen, like in a real adult dude, like hitting
beating the shit out of someone.
White woman. No, but I know that like the teachers in my high school, like when I went there in high school, actually hit some of the students on the head and stuff. So like it is technically an acceptable thing. Just when they were like late to this one thing, like we were on a school trip and the girls were late to come downstairs to breakfast, and so like they lined all 3 of them up, and, like, the teacher just, like, hit all of them, but I bet that's not allowed anymore, maybe? And then there's, like, the shit that you always see in anime where they make the people hold the buckets of water and stand outside. I don't know if they do that anymore either, but
Hold the
that was
buckets
definitely,
of
like, a
wait. I
thing.
don't ever recall seeing that in anime. Hold the buckets of
What? You've
water.
never seen that? Yeah, it's like
No.
you make the kid if a kid was being bad in class, they had to hold buckets of water and stand outside, and they weren't allowed to, like, put the buckets of water down.
Oh my
I think
god.
corporal punishment is considered bad now in Japan, maybe.
I don't ever recall.
I never saw that, I don't think, but
Okay, this was an
it's,
interesting subplot here. Like there was this whole other and
oh,
this
their ramen battle?
yeah, this was like a part of the movie that was like, okay, so this was like this must have been the part of the movie that was directed by the Japanese crew because it seems
Yeah, yeah.
there was nothing about any of the vibe of this that felt, American to me. Which maybe that's a
Yeah,
credit to
yeah.
the director or the writer, but it's just such a different. It just felt out of place though because of that, and I didn't
Yeah.
quite know. Like, there's this whole other world that they allude to in this movie where they're
Yeah,
like, there's like
yeah.
a ramen master that they have to appease, and there's like this ramen
Yeah.
battles going on between like these different shops, and like I want to see that
Yeah.
movie. I want to see
Yeah?
like I want to see like the Food Wars version of
Yeah?
this movie where all these ramen places are battling each other for supremacy.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and I feel like that was, really Japanese because here they are at, like, I think they're at, no, oh, shit, what is it called? Tsu Tsukiji Shijo. So they're, like, at Tsukiji, which is, like, the big, like, market, I think, for,
Yeah,
like, basically all the food in Tokyo. So, this is, like, a very kind of recognizable place that people would be going to for their ingredients and shit, and, like, you can see at the beginning of this scene, Brittany Murphy's, like, cutting an onion in half and smelling it and shit,
yeah,
so, it's, like, the idea that she's, kind of learning, like, what good quality ingredients are, which obviously Japanese people, like, really, really value and stuff.
yeah,
So, there this whole story, it's like, oh, she's learning how to treat food like a Japanese person, and then these guys are all like, haha, like, I bet she'll never be good at making ramen, and then there's this dude, and he's like, my son is being cool and,
yeah.
like, taking on my shop after I'm done, and then he's like, you know, "Fuck you, Maizubi, you weirdo." Even though his, like, ramen shop is super
His
popular, so I
ramen
don't
shop
really
is always
understand
popping.
what the problem is. I know, it's, like,
Well, I mean
way
that's
more popular than any real ramen shop in Japan.
well, I guess that would be the problem with the with the shitty ramen guys is that his ramen place is popular. They want to run him out of business. They want his business,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
that would
I guess
explain that.
so.
But like
Yeah,
it
but
intro
I thought that was, definitely, like, more fun than, any of the other subplots that were
oh
happening.
yeah, yeah. It
Like, a American girl comes, maybe her boyfriend breaks up with her, and then she goes to ramen dude who's, like, kind of mean to her, but then she, like, gains his respect, as she, like, comes to understand, like, the Japanese, like, uh, like, quality of food, like the standard of food quality and shit. And then she eventually, like, she doesn't get accepted by the master, but she, gets good enough to, like,
so she
carry on that
makes
dude's business,
yeah,
blah blah
she makes
blah.
her own ramen, which she has this conversation with this woman. I forget. I can't remember who the woman was. The old lady.
It's
And
probably the wife, right? Or no?
no, it's someone else because like she makes
No.
this thing and then she serves it to people, and like the people she's serving it to, they just all start crying uh,
Yeah, yeah.
because it's a part of like the advice she got from that woman, which was like
Oh, to put her
put your
tears into
tears.
it.
Yeah,
Oh, it
this
was the
woman.
guy's mom. Yeah,
Oh,
it
it's the
was
guy's
the
mom.
Maizumi's mom.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay,
They, like,
okay.
went all the way out into, like, rural Japan for her to, like, I guess, make this lady a bowl of ramen, and then, like, Brittany Murphy magically understands, like, what this old
Yeah, she
lady
had a conversation.
is saying.
Somehow she understood exactly what this woman was saying, like
Yeah,
word for
yeah.
word
So
almost.
she yeah,
So I don't know what's going on there, but yeah,
that was cool.
she imparts her wisdom on her, like
Yeah.
put your tears into the ramen. Maybe, not maybe not
Yep.
literally. I hope not literally,
I mean, she got
but
close, but
she did get
yeah.
close. But yeah, these guys start eating her ramen, and then they just all start breaking out into tears, which I thought, okay,
Yeah.
It's
this part I feel like was really, really Japanese movie though.
yeah.
Like
This seems very
this kind of
Japanese.
like very unbelievable situation happening where like all the people are like mega overacting and stuff. Like that is so Japanese. But it was also kind of cute because these characters were cute, and I feel like they
Yeah.
could have been used better. Like this dude with the white like bandana on his head literally had never been seen in the movie ever before until this
No, until
scene.
this scene. Until this
So
very
like,
scene. And this was his
I just
moment.
yeah,
Look
I
at
just
him.
wish
He's
that
fucking
they had
killing it.
like I know, right? So yeah, I wish that they had like bothered to focus on this shit instead of this weird, like really like
They had
what do you
like
call it? Like shoehorned in like
love story.
romance thing. Yeah, so and like holy shit, that dude's
Okay.
bedroom.
This
Like
is
fuck that.
this is
Sorry. So
this
yeah,
is this
go
is
for
what
it.
I thought was gonna go on with this guy. I thought for certain because they meet him at the bar, right? Let me see if I can
Mhm.
find that. Oh wait, what is this? Is this when she just comes over?
That's when that lady comes over, yeah. And he like
Oh,
for
okay,
some
yeah.
reason like knew that lady, but he hadn't fucked her or whatever,
No, he
so
said
I just
that. Yeah, I don't
I don't
get something
understand.
suspicious is going on there. So, but
Yeah.
prior to that, yeah, this is where they
So
all
this is
meet.
where that lady's like, "Oh yeah, like my boyfriend makes me like fuck dudes. That sucks." But yeah, this is the part where they meet Toshi. And I love it. He's like, "I went to college in
Oh,
America."
here it
And
is.
he's like, he can't actually speak English
I walked into a door.
like that well. He speaks English okay, but like he's clearly not a native speaker.
He's,
Yeah, yeah. It's just like, "Oh, she's got a black eye, as you do."
I must have left him at least.
yeah, so this is where they meet those other people sitting over here at this bar. So this British dude, he's the only one that speaks Japanese, right? And he
Yeah.
basically tells him that the redheaded woman is a whore. Like,
Yeah.
and that's
He's
why,
like, "Hey, do you want to fuck my friend?"
yeah, and that's why all the Japanese people were like,
Yeah.
oh, cool. My name is, they start getting super excited about it. And it's
Yeah,
like, Jesus
yeah.
Christ, that's fucking awful. Are you sure this guy wasn't pimping him? That's why I thought it was
I
weird. The look that
Oh
he
shit,
gave her,
maybe.
the look that he
Oh
gave her.
fuck. You're totally right, probably.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't get the impression that that dude was her boyfriend or the dude that was letting her, like live in his apartment or whatever. But actually, now that you mention it, it was probably that dude who was pimping her out. Cause yeah, he was like, "Hey, have sex with my friend for, whatever money."
Yeah.
So, oh shit, yeah, I guess that makes sense. Well, fuck.
So
Good,
yeah.
good eye,
Look!
Devin. Holy shit.
He's basically saying, don't you say a fucking word. Don't you dare say a fucking word.
I mean, I didn't read that much into that blank ass expression, but I guess it could be.
At any rate, one of the dudes in this group that they start talking to is that guy, her love interest. And I thought for certain that the whole point of introducing that element, introducing this guy, was that he was going to like either teach her how to like
Oh
speak
yeah, like
Japanese
Japanese or whatever. Yeah,
or go to the ramen shop and be like a liaison. And I thought that he was
yeah.
going to help her communicate with the guy and like punch up her ramen game. So I was like, oh, okay.
Well,
And none of
excuse
that
you.
happened. No. He's
Salarymans need to salary man. He was like, "Hey, my company told me I gotta go to Shanghai for 3 years. Like, bye."
and this
Could,
thing
could never turn down my company for that. Which, is pretty accurate, so.
and she was like, "Oh, it's happening again. No." And she got all depressed about it, and I guess that's when she upped her ramen game and made her really sad bowl
Yeah,
of
she was
ramen.
putting her tears into the ramen. Yeah,
And
like one thing that was funny that I feel like they didn't need to mention, and actually it's probably part of the reason that you can tell that some non-Japanese person wrote it, is that this guy, I think in this scene, they like just went to the ramen museum in Yokohama or whatever.
yeah, she took her to the
And
ramen
they're
museum.
like, yeah, and they're on like the bay or whatever in Yokohama, and he's like, "Oh, like I haven't always been this cool. Like I used to get bullied by my peers for my grandparents being from Korea." And like my friend, afterwards I was like, I looked up, all the actors while we were watching, and I guess that guy is actually, so he actually looks pretty Korean. like pre-idol plastic surgery Korean. So like I went and looked him up, and he totally is like a Japanese Korean guy.
Oh, okay. Has he done anything prominent?
I don't think so. I think he like has been getting like some work in like American TV shows or something, but he's not like famous in Japan. Maybe because he's Japanese Korean.
Oh, boy.
Or Korean Japanese or whatever. So
Oh, he's in Cobra Kai.
And
oh, I think he might be.
Yeah, apparently he is.
He might be in the new season of Cobra Kai.
Do you know who this person is? Oh, well, dang.
Okay, cool.
I mean, his English is pretty good, and he's like good looking, and he's tall apparently, and so I can see why he'd it would be appealing to add him to stuff.
Yeah. Come on over to America, buddy. We do not hate Koreans over here.
I know, right? Well, so that my friend was like, "Oh," and I was like, "Oh, that guy, he said, that he like went through bullying because he's Korean Japanese, and like that would have made a lot of sense." And she was like, "What?" And I was like, "Well, Japanese people hate Korean people." And she's like, "What?"
And vice versa.
She like totally had never, yeah. So, I looked it up and saw that it's funny because I don't actually think that young Korean people hate Japanese people that much at all. Like, young Korean people actually kind of like Japan.
Yeah.
And I think young Japanese, like very young Japanese people in their like, teens and early 20s are getting into K-pop. So I think they don't hate Korea as much either.
Yeah, it's definitely more of an older generation kind of thing.
Yeah, but I feel like it's sort of like unmatched. Like, Japanese people like hate like Korean people a lot more for very little reason, just because they're the guys who did all the war crimes, but nobody believes that they did war crimes. So that's a whole different topic. But so I thought it was kind of fun that they put that in.
Do you talk about that on your stream? Because you have Japanese viewers on your stream.
Oh yeah. No, on Nico Nico, I talk about that shit all the time.
Okay.
And I don't think like half the people who tune in like it. Because I went to look at the reviews for this movie in Japanese because, of course,
Oh, you wanted to see how Japanese people received it?
Yeah, like how Japanese people
do dish. I want to know.
They hated it even more than
even more.
Do.
Oh no.
Yeah,
what were some of the critiques?
Well, it was like, oh, this movie makes Japan look terrible. And it was like, oh, this is like an anti-Japanese movie. Because, they've got like one Korean Japanese dude in there. And plus, it shows like that one Japanese actor as a dickhead. And so people either like didn't think that the premise of the movie made any sense because
they're correct.
That sort of shit wouldn't happen, which of course it wouldn't, but like, does any other shit in Japanese like live action movies make any fucking sense either? Like it doesn't, but they don't care at that point. So I think it was mostly just like, oh, and they were all like mad that Brittany Murphy never learned Japanese, which is probably like, the one legitimate criticism that anyone had. But I think it was mostly because like they don't like being told how they are or how people think they are from people who aren't Japanese, like from foreign people. So, like if a Japanese person was like, haha, like, our bosses in Japan really like to treat us like shit, they'd be like, fuck yeah, my boss treats me like shit too. That's hilarious. But then if like a American person is like, wow, your bosses really get away with treating you like shit, maybe you should try to like have labor unions and like not be treated like shit all the time like we do in America. They'll be like, don't push your American like selfish idealism on us Japanese people. Like,
I mean, that's literally
stand for it.
That's literally a line from the movie. I think the old man says something like that at some point.
Yeah, right.
Why do you Americans always try to blah blah blah?
I mean, it's true.
It is true.
But that's like literally how they would respond to an American telling them the same shit that somebody would, who is Japanese would tell them. They just don't like being told, like, what to do or how they are by like anyone who isn't already Japanese. So I think that was partially part of the reason why everyone hated this movie. And then this dude, is giving them a bad name by being Korean,
Korean.
or whatever.
He's giving us a bad name by being
even though he's
Korean.
like born in Japan and speaks Japanese as his like assumedly his first language and shit. So
and he's not a bad actor. And he's not bad looking.
And he spoke good English. Yeah, he's good looking. It's like, okay. I mean, he was pretty ripped, right? In that scene where they're making out in his ridiculously stereotypical Asian bedroom.
Yeah, he's got like a weird, like 19... Yeah, he's got like a... Here it is.
Show that shit. It's so bad.
He's got like a 1980s sort of like...
Oh, there it is. Oh my God.
Got like a weird 1980s like cyberpunk 2077 kind of
bedroom. It was like like what was that? There's that movie Shogun with what is it? Michael
wait, Shogun.
Douglas. Like wasn't there some weird ass
I know he was in Black Rain. I don't know about Shogun.
Oh, okay. I don't
maybe the Michael Douglas?
Yeah, there was some movie that he was in that was like, Japanesey. No? Okay, just kidding. I don't know. But there was like some 80s movie, with the very 80s aesthetic.
You might be thinking of
Black Rain. Right when they were big into... Maybe? Okay, yeah. Let me see.
Because I know Black Rain is a Michael Douglas movie in Japan.
it was a movie about like business. It wasn't like cool cyberpunk shit. Like it was like the Yakuza or something. Oh yeah, but wait.
Are you sure it was Michael Douglas?
Yeah, maybe I'm wrong. I take it back. The Shogun.
But you think it was called Shogun?
Movie? I feel like it had Shogun in it or something. No, that's some weird like. That's just some weird kung fu movie. I take it back. Hold up. 80s movies about Japan. Oh no, now it's just giving me Akira and shit.
Black Rain.
Okay, I swear there was like some movie once that had some people in it, and it was like
Black
very.
Rain again.
Because like I feel like his house isn't. Oh, Ridley Scott directed this. That explains why. You know what? Maybe it is this Black Rain movie.
It might be that movie you're thinking of.
Yeah, maybe it's just that the screenshots that came up haven't don't show the particular scenes that I'm thinking of. But anyway, so show his bedroom, because I'll show you what all is fucking wrong with this shit.
All right, let me see if I can.
It was like this scene is literally offensive just for the interior design.
Let me see if I can find a way. YouTube was
getting. That's good enough, right? Does YouTube?
YouTube was getting mad at me for playing some of this stuff. So let me pause right here.
Ah, shit. Okay.
So we could just take a look at this frame, and then I'll try to move up a little bit more.
Okay. So firstly, there's a kimono.
There's a kimono that's being used like a curtain, I guess.
Well, that's okay. You can display kimonos like that. Yeah,
but it's in front of like a door, though.
Dude, I mean that's actually okay. I feel like. So that in itself is not offensive, but like this is like a dude in his late 20s or like early 30s or whatever, right? So he's got
I'll say they're pushing early. I think they're trying to play early 20s in this, like just graduated. I think this is the demographic they're trying to aim
is he
for.
the early 20s? Okay, well.
Early, maybe mid-20s.
I guess that makes sense. Yeah, maybe you're right. Well, so early 20s, even less likely that he would have like a kimono displayed at the head of his bed. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. Like, if you have a kimono displayed, it's like in your special room that, is your like Japanese room that you put, like things up in that look nice, and you like have people in there to like feed them, snacks when they visit your house or whatever. Like you're not going to have that shit like at the foot of your bed while you're like, fucking your American girlfriend or whatever. And then there's like 100 like irises or orchids or whatever the fuck that shit is. Yeah, there's this like
vase that's very precariously placed on this stand that looks like it might be it's just begging to get knocked over. That's all I see when I see that.
Why though? Like why?
I don't really know what's going. Like, what's this cloud thing over here? What is that even? It's like a poster.
What cloud thing? Who even fucking knows? I think it's one of those like hanging wall scroll type thing.
That's what it looks like, but just not hanging up.
But it's like on the floor for some reason or something.
And
then there's like a really Chinese or Korean looking Buddha in the corner. Like there's that. I mean, that might be his like Butsudan. Let me actually see if I can see what like a regular Butsudan looks like. Cause like that shit looks like not necessarily Japanese. But then again, I'm not like, super Butsudan expert or whatever. Butsudan. Yeah, no, it doesn't look like the Japanese ones that I'm seeing here. And like the weirder thing is that so if you have like a Butsudan, which is like you can have one in your house if you're a Buddhist.
Yeah.
And it's where
Jesus Christ, this guy's a very opulent room here.
Dude, I'm telling you. And it's covered with like, okay, so the Butsudan is weird because it doesn't even look Japanese. And then Butsudan are literally there for you to like pray to your ancestors.
Yeah.
So usually like if your mom died or whatever, you'd have like a picture of your mom. And you'd have like maybe a little bit of food, like you'd have like a clementine or
like a shrine or something, or?
Yeah, it's well, that's what it's supposed to be, a shrine. But his literally has like some like bodhisattva in it or something, and it's like made out of wood, and it doesn't even look Japanese. But then also he's got his little Japanese dolls all over the fucking place.
Yeah, he has one right down here.
Yeah, he's got one there. He's got like a bunch of them on his on the window side there, on like the little mantle or whatever he's got over there. And like this is like horror movie territory, because it wouldn't make any sense for this dude to like have this shit out there just in
dolls.
His like normal room, because like these are dolls that like exist in Japan, but you get them out on March 3rd. And you put them up for your children usually.
Wait, hold on a second. Why do you get them out on March 3rd?
So let me see what it's called. Hina Matsuri. So like Japanese people do usually have well, not people, but like families or whatever will have it. It's called Doll's Day or Girls' Day.
Doll's Day
or
Girls' Day.
It is a religious holiday in Japan celebrated on 3rd March of each year. Platforms covered with red carpet material are used to display a set of ornamental dolls representing the emperor, empress, attendants, and musicians in the traditional court dress of the Heian period. So basically, so see like the dolls there. He's got like
he's got like one of these.
He's got multiple of the empress and shit, and then he also has, if you watch the movie, he has like one of the emperor and the empress together. But then he also just has empresses fucking sitting around too.
Yeah, he's got her right here. He has the empress right here.
Yeah, no, that's he's got another one next to it too. Like, yeah, there's one there. The one behind him in the window there that you can kind of see, like in the window, like
these two
behind him. Let me see. I've got a little bit of a lag on my. Yeah, see that one there? That's another girl doll. It's actually after that, I think, that shows it. So I don't know if you can like run it for like one more second or something.
There we go. Oh, right there?
Yeah, he's got, see this like weird red shit that he's got, this weird red lacquered thing in behind him too. There's like all these weird like, like stereotypically Asian like red lacquered shit behind Brittany Murphy's head there, behind the like eye area. And then yeah, he's got like Hina dolls there, but I think he also has Hina dolls like over to off screen to the left and shit too.
He's just got them plastered all over his room.
It's literally fucking like horror movie material.
Yeah, that's like what a serial killer would have.
I know, right? Because this is literally a thing that like your mom gets out the box of, it's like, how you break out the ornaments in America before Christmas. And then like, when Christmas is over, you put that shit away. And, like, this dude just has it in his bedroom, I guess, like, all the time. And it doesn't make any sense that this young single dude, like, has them in his room. And they're considered creepy. Like, they're not even, like, it only makes sense for them to be out on Girls' Day. Like, literally never other than that. maybe you'll keep them up for like a little bit longer, or like little old ladies will keep them up all year or something. But like, and then see, look at this like lacquered thing with the flowers coming out of it and shit. Like, I just don't understand.
I feel like it almost seems like this is like his parents' house or something. And like maybe this
it would make more sense if they said it was. Like, but then he's also got that weird like platform on the floor that his bed is on, which is also not a thing. Like,
well, I mean that's just a part of the opulence of it. Like he's a big business person, so he can afford to have like an elevated.
You know what? He can afford to have a fucking bed, which is the fancy thing that you would have
would be
in
the
your
fancy
house,
thing.
I feel like. Yeah, he's just got like a fucking wooden platform with a futon on it or whatever. Like, doesn't make any sense. Like,
I think this is the scene where he's telling her, like, I'm out of here, Toots.
Yeah. He's like, oh, I gotta go.
I'm hitting the road. And she's like, not again.
Yeah. I mean, like, I didn't even find their relationship, like, bad. I was like...
They didn't really have much of a relationship. Together.
I know, right? It's like, I think they, like, fucked twice or something, but...
I think it was just the once.
Yeah, maybe you're right. I don't know. But, in my head or whatever, it was like, oh, I prefer these guys over her dickhead boyfriend who, like, literally would never call her back and, like, left her in his apartment alone for, like, a year for some reason.
No, he never came back. He never showed up again.
Yeah, no, he just like literally was in there for 3 seconds, and then just like that storyline ended.
Yeah, that ended before the opening credits. Really.
Yeah.
So
yeah, like I was rooting for them until I saw his fucking bedroom.
His murder bedroom.
Jesus Christ, like it's just not. It's not acceptable. That kind of blasphemy. But yeah, it was so bad, and that like weird, circular light with the lacquering around it, like isn't even remotely like Japanese. It just like, it was like, they literally told some white dude from the 80s to like, watch Blade Runner and then try and come up with like a traditional Japanese house, and like that's what he came up with or something.
Yeah, so. and that's what I was saying. It definitely had that like that cyberpunk, Japan from the 80s kind of look, like. People in the 80s that were mystified by Japan. It was like, oh, Japanese corporations are going to take over everything. What is it going to look like? And like that was their image of what a Japanese house would look like.
Yeah. This house that this old lady is in actually looks more like a Japanese house because they show her living room and it's literally just like a clock and a TV in the corner. And I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, it looks like a Japanese house. It's kind of pleasant.
Dude, I mean, nobody has one of those, like, I mean, unless you live out in the fucking boonies, like nobody's gonna have that fireplace or whatever there. But but the rest of it looks kind of standard. Although you also wouldn't have like a red ass table. I doubt it. That's too ostentatious.
Maybe she was ostentatious in her earlier ramen slinging life.
Yeah.
But
yeah, so I don't know. I do feel that weird sense of like, here's, some people who kind of understand Japan because they've made this scene.
Yeah.
Where they go out and it looks, like it could actually be a place in Japan. And then they have like, the weird scene with the guy who's got like the, dolls that are only supposed to be one day a year.
This scene was filmed by the Japanese crew, and the other scene was filmed by the American crew.
Yeah, so it was really weird. I wonder if that's literally it, that like their crews were different for the different,
I feel like that might be the situation going on here.
Areas or something, yeah.
So
yeah, it was just weird. But anyway, sorry, that was literally my main pet peeve was that
guy's bedroom.
I was like,
well, you had a lot to say about it. I guess it makes sense.
I know. I'm so
creepy
sorry.
ass dolls.
I'm just, like, really
no,
mad.
don't apologize. Yeah. Don't apologize. Like that was like, fascinating. That was a fascinating lesson.
It.
I didn't know about, and I have this open in my browser window.
I mean, even if it was just like his personal taste, it would literally mean that he has like eaten several women. Like it just wouldn't. It's not acceptable. Like, look, they're already creepy, right?
They are pretty creepy. They're pretty creepy things.
Yeah, and you wouldn't want that in your bedroom if you were a 23-year-old bachelor, right?
No, I would.
But,
Jesus.
Oh, wait, you know what? Actually, it's kind of funny. That picture that you were just showing, it had the same kind of lacquered lantern that was in his room.
Wait,
But it was
which
like
one?
in the Hina context, in the one that had the 2 dolls.
Oh yeah, this
Just
one right
the
here.
picture of the 2, yeah. It's,
Yeah.
that, I guess, he just is going for, like, the full Hina Matsuri effect. That's what it has to be.
Maybe this took place
So, yeah, he,
around.
like, literally had one of those lamps in his room, and I was just like, "That's not Japanese," but I guess it was in 1200 AD.
In at that point in the movie it was taking place around March 3rd.
Yeah, I guess that would have had to have been it.
I mean
Yeah, and maybe he did live in his parents' house,
that
and,
would have
that
been,
was their living room or something.
given this knowledge, that would have been, that's a visual indicator on some passage of time, because
Yeah,
prior to
yeah.
that it was Christmas, right? So you
True,
had a
yeah.
scene in Christmas and then you had a scene involving this stuff. So
Yeah,
maybe
yeah.
that was their way of trying to indicate that several months have passed, you
I
know.
mean, yeah, just why would he not have them in, on one of these little red stair thingies? Because that's how you're supposed to do it. You're not just supposed to have them, like, fucking splash dash, across
Sitting out
all
on
of the
your.
surfaces in your bedroom. Like, yeah, I don't know. So that was my, like, number one pet peeve. It's the stupidest thing that you could be mad at, but, like, I didn't even mind her, not speaking Japanese, because I know all these dumbasses who live over there who, like, can't speak a word of Japanese, and, yeah,
Yeah,
like, it was just that dude's bedroom.
just that dude's bedroom.
Sorry,
Well,
but
I'll get.
then
What's up?
go for it.
I was just gonna say I'll get to my what my
Yeah, yeah.
point of agreement was, but
I
what
have
were you about to say?
Oh, okay. Well, no, I was gonna, like, because I figured, I'm just wanting to scream out, whatever I thought about this movie. But I know that you are attempting to show it in some kind of
Well,
actual, like,
I'm about to
progression that makes sense.
round it out towards the end. So
Okay, all
we're
right.
about to
Because
bring it to the end.
my other thing that I didn't like was towards the end. So if you have
Okay.
any, like, stuff to say, I'll wait until after that, because I could go on for a long time, as you can
Well,
see.
when I get to the point that you want to talk about the thing you don't like towards the end,
Okay.
just let me know.
All right, let's do it.
So we get to the point where she goes to the ramen master's mother's house and she gives her advice. You know, she cooks with a little bit more spirit, but her spirit is very mournful. It's very sad. She's a
Mhm.
very sad girl. And it was reflected in her ramen, which is why all of those dudes, when they were having their tasting, started to cry. All of these guys
Yep.
here. Um, and then shortly after that is when the ramen master gets his opportunity to try the ramen between the rival
Yep.
ramen shop, that guy's son, and Abby's ramen.
Yep.
And he tries the young guy's ramen, and he was like, "This shit's good. Gets my approval." So they're happy about
Yeah.
that. And then he tries Abby's, and he's very perplexed by it because it is not traditionally Japanese type ramen. There's all sorts of shit in it. There's like tomatoes
Yeah,
in it,
there's
and there's corn.
tomatoes.
It's very American style ramen,
For shame.
yeah, I don't know. I guess if you have a flavor for that, if you have a taste for that flavor profile, sure. But it's not what I would get. You
Nope.
know, when I see that, when I go to Michi Ramen here in Austin, they have their weird ramen bowls. I'm like, nope, just give me the normal tonkatsu.
Yep.
Um, but he tries it.
Don't.
He gives it an honest shot. You know, he says some positive things about it. He's very honest, and it seems like he likes it. But then he says he can't approve of it. I forget why he said he can't approve of it, but
I think it's because he was just like, don't put tomatoes in
don't
ramen,
put
which,
tomatoes in the ramen. Fair
like,
point. Fair point.
understandable. Or I don't
Um,
know whether he says it, but the people, like the ramen, like, teacher dude was
yeah,
like, I told you not to fucking put corn in it.
yeah.
Which is kind of weird, because I've been to, like, a bunch of places that put corn in it.
Uh
Like,
huh. I
if
have
not
to
in Japan, at least in America. But
in America for
I just
certain.
would never order ramen that has corn in it. Like, I don't want it in there. Like, it's not my thing. But I'm pretty sure they
I
probably
mean,
have some places in
like
Japan that have corn in their ramen.
the instant cup ramen has, I think, corn in it, but like
Yeah,
actual traditional ramen, no.
yeah.
But one thing we skipped over is
Oh,
when they were at the market, they made that bet, and the bet
oh yeah.
was that if what was the guy's name, the master,
Maizumi?
Maizumi, if Maizumi's
Yeah.
apprentice Abby, if her ramen does not meet with the approval of the ramen master, then Maizumi needs to bail from the game. Like, he shuts his shop down, he's gone. So, for whatever reason, even though this guy fucking hates this woman top to bottom throughout the entirety of this movie, like, he agrees
He's like,
to
I have faith in her.
yeah, he agrees to the deal. You know, even though he refuses to teach her how to make ramen at every point. Like, at no point in the movie is there ever a scene where he's like, no, you need to do this. Like, he always says, like, vague stuff like, you know, you need more spirit and that kind of shit. Like, there's never a moment where he's like, nope, that's a little bit too much paprika or whatever. you know?
Yeah.
So despite the fact that he has no real guidance on her making ramen, she basically just learns it looking over his shoulder. You know, and like, even when she does start to attempt making her own, he like dumps it out in a sink without even tasting it.
Wasted pork bones.
Exactly.
All the pork bones just put to waste.
Despite all that, he's like, yeah, okay, I'll put my career on the line for her ramen.
I know, right? Yeah.
And it ends just as poorly as you would imagine.
I know, right? He
loses.
Yeah, dude, I trust her. Like, I think it was supposed to be, you know, an indication of the fact that he, like, did think that she was coming along or whatever.
Yeah.
But then he, like, there was no scene, like, you know, Karate Kid-esque scene where he was like, you know, you're the best.
Like a montage.
And he's like, you know, stir it like this.
Stir it like this. No.
Add this much.
Exactly.
Corn bouillon or whatever. Like, it was just like, he was like, oh, keep trying or whatever. So, like, he clearly didn't care that much about. So he either like
I'm not gonna say,
wanted to quit.
So when they went to go see his mom, there was something there where he was like, something's off about this. Like, what's off about it, right?
Yeah,
he was trying to dissect her ramen and figure out what the missing ingredient was, right?
Yeah.
So there was some level of, like, you know, interest that he had, you know, enough interest to take her to her mom and try to figure out what's wrong. But still, you don't get like any other kind of sense that he has any kind of like investment in this.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I feel like there would have been better like narrative continuity if like they had even had one scene where he was like, "Okay, man, you know, this is how you do it. Like, we're gonna finally practice together or whatever." And instead, it's just like, "Oh, ramen master is here now. I guess you gotta try out your soup."
All right, Hooper.
And then he's like, "No, sir, I don't like it." And it's like, "Oh, well, shit." So, you know, like, it was very anticlimactic. Like, I feel like there was more that they could have done there.
And then he gives her shit. Like, so this is like the pinnacle scene here at the end, right? Like, her ramen's been rejected. Like, the terms of his deal has been settled. He's about to get out of the business. He's just sitting at this empty ramen bar drinking, and she shows up, and they like have a moment where they talk vaguely. Like, she still can't understand what he's saying.
Yeah, like, she can kind of understand.
She can kind of understand it. They have the dictionary that they use to, like, you know, determine words.
Oh, yeah, and he's like, success door?
Yeah.
Like,
but even before that point, he's still giving her a lot of shit. Like, he's, like, making fun of her for not understanding, and he's, like, trashing her ramen and shit. And then, like... Like, after all of that, he looks up the word successor and he goes like, "You are my successor." It was
very kind of out of nowhere.
Super out of nowhere. And it's like, what the fuck? Like,
I feel like they could have taken it in that direction if like there had been any scene where he indicated that he like, you know, was like teaching her shit or like that he
even just liked her. Even just liked her as a person.
So one thing that they did have, and I don't know like exactly where it was. I think maybe it was like after. Oh yeah, it was after the people all started crying after they tried her, you know, like improved ramen that had her emotions in it, but I guess it was crying or something.
Yeah.
His wife, you know, goes up to him and he's like, oh, like everyone really likes it or something, or they all reacted to it in this way and they're all like moved by it or whatever. And then he like turns around and goes up the stairs. But for me, like the implication was that he was also going up to cry because he didn't want to like cry in front of them, but he was like, proud of the fact that she was able to like make good ramen. So like, and I think there were like, little tiny hints that
they should have showed us that though. Like it would have given us so much more.
Nearly enough. I know, right? So like, if you
he storms off all the time in the movie every time.
Yeah. That one time, he looked kind of shocked or whatever, and then he like immediately turned around and like went up the stairs or something. But like, if you like, lived in Japan or Japanese people a little bit, you'd be able to like implicitly understand that he's really proud, so he's going off to cry, so he doesn't show her that he's crying because he has to be a hard ass all the time, which is why he's a dickhead to her all the time. But he's being a dickhead because he loves her. And if you don't like know anything about Japan, like how are you supposed to know that everyone there treats people like shit if they really love them? Which isn't even true, but I mean it's like a trope.
It is a trope. It is a trope.
Yeah, it's like nobody should ever put up with anyone's abuse, whether it's in Japan or America. But I think that like someone who, or if they had bothered to explain anything about the Japanese personality, that could have been kind of cute, like the relationship where he's just being like the strict father, but he's actually proud of her deep down or whatever. Yeah. And I think the only scene that they indicated that at all was the scene where he like turned around to go cry upstairs. And like the very last scene where she gets up on the
so
thingamajig, and he's like looking up at her as she's leaving, and he looks kind of sad.
After he says she's his successor, which there is a little bit of emotion in that moment. It's a pretty good moment, when you get past all the other weirdness. It was a good moment. So then, there's this street festival. Do you know what this is? Like, what is this?
It's pretty common. So for some reason it's supposed to be summer, but then like everyone is wearing like she was wearing so in the very beginning they have the same thing. So it's been 1 year. So the same festival
it was happening when she arrived at the very beginning.
Yeah, the very first scene she was wearing an Adidas tracksuit, which like in summer would be physically impossible in Japan because you would just spontaneously combust.
Yeah.
Because it would be like 1,000 degrees and like humidity, like 800%. So that's definitely not realistic that she's wearing like, a blazer and shit right now. But so it's supposed to be summer. They do this sort of little festival. It's usually like from a shrine. They'll bring this little thing. It's called a mikoshi. I forget what it's called in English. It's like what do you call it? Not a sarcophagus. Shit.
A sarcophagus?
What is it? That's like the only word I can think of. It sounds something like that.
I know what you're talking about.
Not pagoda.
No, it's
shit.
like palanquin. Yes, palanquin. That's what it is.
Okay. Yes.
Yes, a palanquin.
Like that. And somebody usually gets up on it, which is like, the Japanese dude that she saw in the beginning.
Yeah.
And so, all the people are like following it along, and that's what they do. So, this is it 1 year later, and they get her all up on it. Like, she was going to go into the taxi, and then, like, everybody shows up down the street, and they're like, oh, shit, Abby-san, like, come join us or whatever. And then they're like, yeah, and she's looking all cute and having a good time. And then he's like, looking proud of her and shit, and because she's gonna take his little lantern that he's got there for his ramen shop, he's she's gonna take it, and he's like officially passing on his whatever to her. I thought this was pretty cute because I feel like this is one of the only times in the movie that you at least are able to infer that he, is proud of her or anything, because he kind of looks it, and he looks sad that she's leaving. So
he actually like bequeaths something to her. He's proud.
Yeah.
It's a celebratory moment. Everyone's having a good time. It is a good
Yeah.
moment. It is a good moment, you know? And
Yeah, well, he's sad, that's the thing.
and he
You
is
see the
sad.
sadness in
Yeah.
his face? Come on.
He's sad for a variety of
mean-
reasons. He's sad she's leaving. He's sad he doesn't have his ramen shop anymore.
Yeah.
You know, like this is a big
See,
life change. This is a big life change
a
for
better
him.
movie would have, you know, like made any of that sort of clear by having fleshed out, you know, like
Yeah.
either of these characters.
A better movie also would have ended with this scene. But
Yeah,
it didn't.
right?
It didn't. It
Yep.
kept going. And it gave
Right.
us another weird scene where you get to see what her restaurant looks like. I don't know how she has a restaurant now. Like, was she independently wealthy?
I
Because
guess.
it's a
Maybe
pretty
she found some investors. Come on, angel investors.
angel investors for okay.
Yeah.
Well, she's running the shop,
Of course.
and you know one of her waiters is like, "Hey, someone's here is asking for you," and
I
she's
wonder
like,
who it could be.
"What the fuck? Someone's asking for me?" So then,
Yeah, dude, that just looks like shit. I'm sorry.
It does. It looks
don't
pretty
put a
fucking
tomato
awful.
in my ramen. Get the fuck out of here. I mean,
it looks pretty
if
awful.
you just take that tomato off, it would be like infinitely better. But
you
yeah.
don't like tomatoes, huh?
Sorry, no, I just don't like them in ramen. Like,
don't like 'em in
I'm just
ramen,
like
okay.
offended by like non-standard things inside of ramen. I just like get that shit away from me.
So-
There's not even an egg in there, is there? That's
No,
just
I didn't
sad.
see one. So it's
Yeah,
this guy.
anyway.
He shows up.
Oh,
like,
Toshi's back.
yes, after a year, and not even in Japan. He tracked her down to like her pretty swanky looking ramen shop in New York. Like this looks way better than the old man's.
That's what a ramen shop in New York probably looks like.
Yeah. That's what the ones here in Austin look like. It's pretty nice. Like this is 2008, so you know she was she was at the head of the curve
It was
there.
before her time, yeah.
Yeah.
Before Ippudo came to New York, so.
So, you know, they have their moment, they reunite. I think there's a kiss, and then like, you know, or there's a hug.
In the middle of the. Mm-hmm.
And then it pans out.
They like make out.
Oh, do they?
Yeah. But it's before that. But then it like pans out and you can see the Empire State Building or whatever. So.
Yeah, like the shop itself is at a pretty prime location, it seems. Like
it looks like it's in the I think it's supposed to be in the East Village or something, which would actually make sense. But that like shot there of where it is like not realistic.
No, it's obviously it's composite.
That is composite. Yeah.
Here's what bothers me about this. Like, why did that guy show up? It would have been like because you have no connection to him, and he didn't contribute anything. He contributed zero to like the movie.
He contributed to her daydreams about him after he left.
I guess, but it would. I think it would have been like for starters, it would have been better if they just didn't have this scene at all. They ended with her on the palanquin. But if they were going to have this scene, then it would have been better if it was the old man who showed up. You know, and like they could have had a moment they could reconnect it. He sees what his successor has done with, you know, the whatever knowledge that he imparted on her, and it kind of connects it full circle.
Yeah, that's
and he should have showed up.
He
should have showed up with his son too.
I know, right? That would have been cute. Like after this, they show that the ramen dude like went to go visit his son in Paris because his whole thing was that he's like permanently mad because his son went to Paris to go be a chef or whatever. And then they literally just show a picture of the mom and dad like with the son in Paris. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, it's this picture right here.
Yeah.
See, so they've obviously made
I guess
up.
it's before. Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, he like now that he's quit his ramen shop, he was actually able to go like be proud of his son and have a relationship with him or whatever.
Yeah.
Which is fine. But yeah, like the romance was like they should have just chosen one or the other. Like have it be a romance movie where the girl is like, you know, like needing to figure out her priorities and if she wants to be with this dude.
Yeah.
Or it should be a movie about ramen, which would have been the way preferable, you know, more interesting thing. And then just like commit to it being about like some weird, you know, white girl in Tokyo learning how to be a ramen master or whatever. Like
and like actually fleshing out her relationship with this ornery old man.
Yeah, you know, like I can tell just kind of by the characterization that, you know, they don't want Like, they made that guy yell at her, like, so much that it was almost like he was a completely unlikable character, but I think,
Yeah.
I don't know if they, like, cut some of the scenes or whatever, but, like, he's supposed to not be a bad dude, as you can see, by the still
Yeah.
picture of him, with his wife and stuff, but, they just, like, shaved off anything that would have indicated that, like, any of this was authentic by trying to put in, like, too much unnecessary shit,
Yeah.
you know?
And
So
it would be interesting to see what they cut out, but at the end of the day, it does try to tell a story that there's parts of this movie that I think are charming and I think could work in a different context.
yeah.
But and maybe that's both parts of the movie. Maybe there is a Lifetime rom-com movie in here where okay, she's having wacky love adventures in Japan, meeting up with weird random characters at hostess bars and shit like that. Okay,
Yeah.
maybe that's a movie, and then maybe there's
Yep.
another movie where
Oh,
okay,
Lost
she's
in Translation is that, right, basically?
yeah, I mean that's basically Lost in Translation, yeah. But then maybe there's another movie where she meets this ornery old man and like she's trying to learn how to make ramen from him, and it's much more of like a coming of age foodie type movie, and there's more of an
Uh,
emphasis on like the development of the old man and their relationship, and
yeah. I
it's
think
more
that would be a movie that Japanese people at least would like a lot, because
yeah.
they're big foodies. They like the idea of like, imparting Japanese tradition onto, dumb foreigners and stuff. So, I feel like that would have definitely been like the way to go, that Japanese people like would have appreciated it more.
Yeah. And I think they ended up just mashing those two things together and making a movie that's just like, whew, this is fucking insane.
Yeah.
This is insane.
Yeah.
And I still
Yeah,
don't.
like the romance movie could have, worked too, but it
Yeah.
just it's not good. Like none of it, like nothing panned out in the end.
In the end,
But I
absolutely
do
nothing
agree that
panned
I
out.
didn't hate the movie, I think, because I
Yeah.
think that like Brittany Murphy is so likable, and the little old dude is also,
Yeah.
I guess, likable. He's like a good actor, at least. He acts well. Sure, the movie doesn't show, that he's a nice guy in like literally almost any way, but
I
he
mean,
seemed believable, and
yeah,
I
those were
guess he
definitely like
eventually,
directors or editors' choices there where there probably were moments where they could have shown him being more likable that they just left on the cutting room
yeah,
floor.
yeah,
But I mean, he was charming. He was a charming actor. Like there was a lot of chemistry. I thought there was actually good chemistry between the two of them, and they
yeah,
played
yeah.
off of
No,
each other
I
really
thought so
well.
too. Yeah,
So like at the end of the day, like I said, and you were very suspicious of me making you watch
yeah,
this movie, but like I did have like that conflict. It was a conflicting opinion that I had where it was like I know this is a bad movie and there's a lot
yeah,
to like dissect about why it is, but
yeah,
it's still at the end of the day it's a little charming and like there's some stuff in
yeah.
there that's likable, you know?
Yeah, I mean, that's why I thought that like this movie must have been made by somebody who lived in Japan, right? Because
Yeah.
like the very first scene in the movie is like Brittany Murphy's doing her makeup in the train, which is not allowed, and
Oh, it's
then
not.
yeah, no, it's considered rude, but it's
Uh,
also like foreigners do rude things that Japanese people will like forgive because they're dumb, foreigners.
yeah.
So she drops her like lipstick case, like top, and a little boy in like a little private elementary
Oh yeah,
school
that's right. That's
uniform,
right. I forgot about
yeah,
that
like picks
scene.
it up and brings it to her, and she's like, "Oh, thank you," and he's like, "You are welcome," and like goes back to his mom, and then she like looks at his mom, and like the mom and the boy like bow and stuff, which is like straight up like foreigner in Japan like energy. It was
Yeah.
like super, relatable and shit. So it's like this person had to have lived in Japan at some point. And there are like certain parts of Japan that like the movie captures that I think is cute, like the little like thing with the guys and the palanquin and
Yeah.
stuff. It just was like too bad that it also went into places that like, just weren't like, I guess, thematically consistent with the rest of, like Like, it should have either been a cute movie about foreigners, having trouble in Japan, but then, like, Japan being a fun and quirky place, or, just, been not set in Japan. I don't know. So it was unfortunate, but it had some cute little, Japanesey moments.
Yeah, for certain.
It was
So
it was too bad.
At the end of the day, Lost in Translation probably does a little bit better.
I mean, barely.
Barely, just barely does it a little bit
Lost
better.
in Translation so much.
Let's see if I can give a little taste of these weirdo characters without getting booted from YouTube. Like on Twitch, they don't give a fuck. They're like, yeah, you can watch whatever movie you want.
I didn't know that, but then you can't say the C word.
But you better not.
Bad C
you
word.
better not. You better not be agreeing. Not the other C word. No, you can say cunt to your fucking life's content. You can just go crazy. Cunt away. But you better not say that other C word, or we're gonna come down on you hard.
I hope they don't also let you or not let you say that C word, and now we're banned or whatever.
Oh no, they'd have to ban the entire British island if they were going to do that.
That's true, yeah.
Oh man, okay, that was the Ramen Girl.
This so now that you've forced me to watch the Ramen Girl, which I didn't actually mind that much. But you should watch a movie that I watched when I was like in my teens, when I had a huge boner for like Japanese like glam metal bands or whatever, called Tokyo Pop.
Tokyo Pop, that sounds familiar.
I mean, Tokyo Pop was a publishing thing for like anime or not anime, but like manga for a while. But there was a movie from 1988. 88 apparently.
Carrie Hamilton and Yutaka
and literally
Tadakoro.
Yeah, the only thing that I remember about this movie, because I wasn't paying attention to
this entire movie's on YouTube too.
Oh, no way. But X Japan show up in it before they were really famous.
Oh, do they?
You get to see, and X Japan, so you would appreciate that. But yeah, there's so so look at that fucking crab, dude. That crab is so famous. Holy shit. See, they got some bangers in this movie too. But I don't know. I recommend you watch that and then compare it to what you think of the Ramen Girl. Because, see?
Compare it.
See, look at you only looking up that scene. Come on,
I didn't know. I just scrolled down. All I did was just scroll down a little.
I'm just kidding.
And it just popped up. Now I'll watch it.
Yeah, and then you can compare it. I'll watch it too, because I literally don't remember anything other than like X Japan being it for like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
So yeah, like maybe we can compare which was the white woman in Tokyo dealing with Japanese people being weird.
Which is the superior movie?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Now I'm interested in what the best 5 ramen in Tokyo are.
Hey guys, thanks for watching this video. If you liked what I said, what Justin said, if you like the content we're providing, if you had any kind of laughs at all, even if you hate us, if you hate my guts, if you want to stab me, if you want to say all sorts of horrible things to me, cool. Like the video, subscribe, you'll get fed all sorts of shit you'll probably hate, and if you like us, you'll get fed all sorts of shit you probably like. So, please and thank you.